Man caves, she sheds. Do you want the tips to make yours the coolest in the neighborhood? We invite, Bob and Sue over from next door. Their lawn looks so good, but they don't have a man cave and a she shed like you. We got the tips today. Tom Brode, Primetime Sports and Framing. Producer Luke, I got this, I picked this football up. Harold Fanning there, our new tight end. It's going to be better than Ozzie Newsome one day, folks. Or so we can hope. And this is all I got, but my lady said, you know what? You can take that basement down there, partially finished basement, and you can make it your man cave. Is this my item? Is this where I start with something like this, Tom? Give me the ins and outs to making the perfect man cave so I can brag to all my neighbors and I can show it off to them. Where do we start?
The first thing is you got to start with, what do you collect? And what do, because you got to know what you're hanging up. Do you want a man cave just for decoration, or do you want it to be a showpiece, or do you want it to be like a wow factor?
I want to chill out with my boys down there.
Chill out with your
boys. I want to talk about all this cool stuff all the time.
So the first thing to think about, okay, hey, maybe you're a Buckeyes fan. Okay. We're in Ohio. Let's talk about Buckeyes.
Sure.
So what I see with a lot of things is they'll say, hey, you know what? They'll find a Buckeye. Hey, let's throw some paint on the wall. Let's make our room scarlet and gray, and you know what I mean? Let's start there. Then they'll start adding some stripes. Hey, let me get a picture and hang up over here. Next thing you know, they got bobbleheads. They got, framed jerseys, which you can get at Primetime.
Throw rugs.
Throw rugs. Now you got something. You start going on to collecting on, auction sites, and just start looking for things. And the next thing you know, you have a whole room full of Ohio State memorabilia. And then you have your friends come over for the games, the parties, the big screens. And then you're just starting to look at wow, you got a museum. Right. So you almost want to make a museum out of what you like to look at.
So replace all the old beer cans that you have as decoration, which was a thing back in our college days.
It was back in the day.
Get rid of all that and put the bobbleheads up.
Yep, bobbleheads.
And can you sign bobbleheads at prime time?
So I collect. Let's just talk about what I collect. So, everybody has a bobblehead. You just go to the games, you get them for free, and you know what I mean? But I thought it was the neatest thing when I seen a 3-foot bobblehead. So in my basement, my man cave, so you have your jersey up top, and I'm like, what could you put at the bottom of the floor? Because there's always something it's like dead space. 3-foot bobbleheads. So I lined up in my man cave 3-foot bobbleheads at the bottom of all the pictures. So I try to look for a 3-foot bobblehead guy that matches the jersey. And it's just a cool thing. So everybody does man caves.
People allowed to touch your bobbleheads?
Yeah, I don't care.
I couldn't help but walk by and just...
animals come over in there, and when they're, they're kind of like, they've been... So a good quick story. My friend came up from New Jersey. He brought his dog in there, and he walked downstairs and hiked his leg on my Curry bobblehead.
No!
Of all things. I wasn't mad because it was Curry.
Well, he was born in Akron. We'll give him that credit. But other than that, I think I'm okay with it.
No, yeah. But,
Good dog.
Listen, when it comes to collectibles, there's certain things that it's material items, and honestly, they mean nothing at the end of the day, just something cool to look at. Some people take them a little bit more extreme, but me, play with the bobblehead, just don't break it.
Yeah. How much was 3 foot? Those are expensive items.
Yeah, they're expensive, but they're unique. I like unique things. So when you look at it, when you put a man cave together, make it unique. Make it different than everybody else. So like I said, you
make
love
it your
Jose
own.
Canseco. You could make a whole wall of nothing but Jose Canseco. How many houses?
Don't give Gabe ideas.
Yeah.
Well, it would be Indians Guardians,
office?
and then it would be
Jose
Canseco.
Canseco,
And I would like Mark McGuire up there too, or maybe this guy, Sammy Sosa. You got a Sammy Sosa?
So when it comes to baseballs, if you're going to collect baseballs, typically you're going to get a lot of baseballs. So get a display, to hold all your baseballs in.
Okay. But,
I would always start with a framed jersey on the wall.
Framed jersey?
Because it kind of you start from a framed jersey and then you just add around, kind of make it all pop together.
And you guys do the framing. That's a big part of your business is the framing.
We do a lot of framing.
And you iron the jersey out. You put it up there. You put some autographed cards in there. You put in whatever you want. You customize these however you see fit, and they see fit. What about if you're on a budget?
No, it's
okay. We're starting the man cave
because, on a budget. So when I first started doing my man caves when I just got married, because, with those days when you just get married, you have no money. Go to Walmart and you buy a, $10 frame and Start putting my jersey in there just like I did normal, and just fold it out nice and hang it up. I mean, it's okay. It's not about money. It's about building your man cave how are happy, to show off your collectibles.
It's important, though, if you're going to get one of these cool jerseys up in the frame, you got to put a light on it. What about lights? Do you have any advice on the lights?
Yeah.
Because they have those little spotlights, those little, cool, super little, tiny battery lights. You got to invest in some lighting.
Well, yeah, you got.
This is your Taj Mahal.
It is.
This is where you want everyone to see what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why one day maybe you'll start a man cave show, and and you'll start loving the whole idea of people's man cave. It's unique going to make people's houses and seeing what they see. The coolest thing about a man cave is trying to be in that person's head and see it how they see it, and it's like wow. And it's actually a lot of times somebody would see that's clutter. No, that's beauty. You know what I mean? When you start looking at collectibles, anytime like scrapbooks, back in the day, it used to be all about scrapbooks. Now it's not about the scrapbooks because back then they used to tape the articles down and they would get them autographed and and they just flip through. Your age, you're old. You've seen scrapbooks, right?
Excuse me? What do you? How dare you?
But it was that era. There's certain eras that people did certain things.
100%, yeah.
And my dad, he loved his scrapbooks. And, but now, all right, we don't do a scrapbook. You have a page and you just flip through binders. And they,
Right.
as technology gets better with your collectibles. But, man cave and collectible, building a man cave or she shed is just, it's all about preference.
I was just up at Puddin' Bay last weekend, and I was at a restaurant, pub. It was kind of a sports bar, and they had all this stuff. And they have all the dollar bills signed and all this stuff, and all the sports tchotchke type stuff. You're sparking an idea here. But if you see one of these places going out of business, kind of thing, which rarely happens, but if it does, you run in there and scoop up some of that stuff as a collector.
Yeah, for sure. Especially down in Nashville, you go to Tootsie's. They have everybody signed the walls.
Right.
So it's just thinking about things like that. And I even thought about my cars, because my cars pick up guys from, athletes, Dennis Rodman to and from, and you're taking athletes. And I never really thought, but if you really start, documenting that and have people sign your items, I mean, it's unique. I've never did it because I'm not a starstruck guy, but if you started doing some of that stuff,
yeah,
it brings uniqueness to your collectible, to your venue, your just think about when an athlete wants to go sell their house, everybody they'll pay way more money. Michael Jordan's house is going to sell for more than LeBron's because he's the GOAT.
We're not getting back into this.
But
we already settled the argument. You said LeBron stuff will be more valuable 25 years from now.
You know what I'm saying? So
the craziest thing that Tom has in his man cave and the craziest thing that he's ever seen in a man cave, that's coming up on the other side of this short break. Don't go away. Man caves, she sheds. Do you have, we're talking about bobbleheads and tchotchke-like stuff. What about a pop? What are these called? These
Funko Pop?
Funko Pops. Gary Payton. You just had Gary Payton in. How was Gary Payton? Was he a cool dude?
He was great.
He seems like he'd be
He
great.
was awesome. Him and Sean Kemp are comical.
He'd tell you Jordan's a GOAT.
Yes.
Payton would?
Comical.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like him then. That's okay. So we're talking about man caves, she sheds, build around items. Clearly, if you have a Funko Pop or even a football, maybe you're on a budget. It's cool to get started on that kind of stuff. And we were talking about the craziest items ever, and you have a pretty crazy item in your man cave, and we're not talking about the 3-foot tall bobbleheads.
Well, one of the coolest, I guess, items right now. I mean, I have a lot of cool things, but how about the contract for Ernie Davis? I mean, it's one of a
That's not
kind.
possible.
It's one of a kind.
You don't have that.
I sure do.
This is something that's for sale at prime time?
It's not for sale. But
Everything's for sale,
Everything
Tom.
has a price. Listen, as the $1 million man from wrestling would say, everything has a price.
Ted DiBiase?
Yes.
I met him in an elevator once.
He's actually a really interesting, cool guy. But everything has a price, he says. He said Vince McMahon one time, they were on a plane, and Vince McMahon and them, and the guy wanted to, the guy was wanted the seat, and and at one point the guy's like, hey, blah, 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 so Vince McMahon finally, offered him, money for the seat. No, and then eventually, he said everything has a price, and paid a price, and I didn't know the wasn't given the exact price, but it was the story went on to bottom line is everything has a price.
Everything does have a price. I was in Panama City on spring break in college, and I believe they were still at WWF. He was in the elevator, and I walk in, and I had maybe a couple of pops at that stage. We're on the beach all day, and I was like, oh my goodness. And that guy is massive. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". I was like, that's the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And he put his big old bear paw out, and he grabbed my hand. It was like twice the size. And I was like, that's the $1 Million handshake. And I was like, this is the $1 Million elevator ride. And he was like, get this guy away from me right now. True story. Met Queen Elizabeth and all. That was so much fun. Spring break stories. I digress. 3 items, must-have items you got to have for your man cave she shed. You got to have a jersey framed up. You got to have a signed football. And you got to have a Cavs throw rug. You tell me. I'm not the expert.
Got to have a Michael Jordan autograph of some sort.
Come on, man. You know that's not going to happen.
You have to.
How many Michael Jordan autographs do you have?
Honestly, probably 100.
Come on. Wow. But you never sell those on your
collected.
eBay auction live. You don't sell
Yeah, we
those.
do.
You
We
sell
do.
Jordan signed stuff?
I sell consignments for people. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Do I sell my personal stuff? No.
Never.
No, that's my retirement one day. Hopefully.
You love this business too much. You're not going to
Oh, I'm
retire?
never gonna. Well, see, here's the deal. I always tell people, yes, I want to retire in 2 years, but my retirement goes from working 120 hours a week to 40. The 40 hours is my retirement. So that's my goal is to work.
I'm
retire and
retired right
work
now,
40
man.
hours.
Right. So what are the 3 items? You got to have something from Jordan. You're talking. This is the ultimate man cave.
Yeah,
Clearly,
the
we're
ultimate
talking.
man cave. You got to have a piece of Jordan. Got to have a Tom Brady piece.
And maybe Tiger Woods.
No. I mean, probably, honestly, you got to have probably a Kobe autograph.
Kobe.
The Kobe, just because of, the whole entire, when Kobe, had his tragic accident, everybody, the massive run for Kobe was just phenomenally crazy. And his value went from $600 to, the $10,000 quickly.
Overnight, yeah.
I even let my son Joe, that's been on your show many times, sell his Christmas gift to when Kobe died. So I had I bought him a Kobe jersey for Christmas one year. I spent $2,000 for a Kobe UDA jersey. It was in a box. And then Kobe, had his little what happened, and
Yeah.
we had it on eBay, and somebody offered $10,000, and I'm like, well, Joe, go ahead, it's up to you. I mean, you got to take the money when it's offered,
Yeah.
because it's all about the situation, the time.
It's so wild how just the things that can affect value like that that
Yes.
you never see coming.
100%.
Clearly, your
So-
man cave, your she shed is personal to you. I'm wondering, outside the big 3, you got baseball, football, basketball. Then you got
So when you
hockey. And then when it comes to valuable items and collectibles in America, soccer is growing, tennis, golf. Where are those 3 in relation? Are they growing? Do you see a lot more interest in
of soccer, a lot of
Lionel
soccer.
Messi from Miami? I could get
But
one
the
of his
biggest
jerseys.
thing is when you have your own man cave. We're just going to take it. If you're an all Buckeyes person, that's what you're going to collect. So every man cave she shed has their own. Hey, this is my own goat. That's what you got to have. Okay. For instance, if you're a Buckeyes, you got to have a Woody Hayes autograph. Because if you don't have a Woody Hayes autograph,
You don't have Woody Hayes.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying.
Woody
But you
Hayes?
can pay, and if you're a Michigan, if you have a Michigan, then you might want a Woodson. You know what I mean? You might want to have a. So it's all
Bo
about
Schembechler.
it's all about what you actually collect and what you have in your collection, and that's that's the must-have for what the collector has. Like
Sure.
if you're gonna be a all Hall of Fame man cave because they're out there, then obviously you want the Al Davises of the world. You want the really secure, hard to get autographs. You want the Red Grange autographs. You want people that hey, I got a red Grange over here. You know, so it's all about preference.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a lot of money, you could still have the coolest, best stuff. Remember, you got the McDonald's collective. Remember back in the day, we had the McDonald's, you know, the scratch off, you know, the McDonald's, you know, played you know, you scratched off the cards, the McDonald's,
Was it Monopoly you're talking
well,
about?
not Monopoly. They did like the Brown sets, and they did like all the Hall of Fame sets, all the team. So maybe if you're a Bears guy, you got to have that set, and you frame it. It's just the coolest thing. So it's not always about money. It's about just having cool stuff that's you don't see that it's got years of age on. That's just so cool that somebody would want to buy it.
I wish I would have kept my 45 of the 1985 Bears, the Super Bowl Shuffle. You got one of those? You got one of those 45s so I can get autographed?
No,
Richard Dent, Refrigerator Perry,
I know.
Jim McMahon. And I was just a young lad back in those days. I'm trying to think of my my Mount Rushmore. If you had, you know, disposable income, I would put LeBron James up there, Michael Jordan, yeah, clearly, Jose Canseco, you know, mine. I think Albert Joey Bell. Albert Bell. Don't call him Joe. He doesn't like that. Don't do it. It gets him angry. You don't want to. You don't see him angry, right? Have you done some stuff with him, Albert Bell?
So no, he's a
Tough one.
he's a tough one.
Tough character.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
What about your Mount Rushmore, Luke?
Of just athletes in general? or-
Your man cave, no holds barred. Joe Montana's got to be up there. Come on, Joe. Tom Brady, yes.
That's a good question.
Tiger Woods, come on. What about golf? Tiger Woods and all that stuff going crazy? No.
So I have a lot of Tiger Woods stuff, but Tiger Woods' value, you know, sometimes we are our own worst, you know, enemy when it comes to our own value, and that seems to be the problem with Tiger, you know. So, you know,
Yeah,
waning.
he's-
It's
when
waning.
you get yourself in trouble
He's
way
gotta
too
get
many
it
times,
together.
yeah, it kind of messes with your value.
But if you got a golf flag from the 18th hole, Jack Nicklaus, memorial.
If you know, if you're going golf, I mean, Tiger's definitely one of the most sought after autographs to have. But value wise, you need to probably wait another 10 years until, you know, down the road, and
Sure.
then you'll see Tiger's value really start appreciating because people, you know, appreciated him so well and so much, and they invested in him, and then some of the off the field things, the accident, you know, that hurts, but he needs to marinate a little bit.
If you got his cast signed.
You need to marinate.
That's
a
not
little
funny.
bit.
It was a serious
So
accident.
you know, one of the coolest things I have, since you just brought that up, I have Joe, because we just got the exclusive for Joe Thomas. I have
Oh.
his knee brace that he wore for 20 some years, every game.
What
His
the
knee
heck
brace.
you
How
gonna do
bad
with
does
that?
that
So it's so bad you can actually see like little black dots, which would tell you it's probably a little bit of mold.
Yeah, dude.
You know, but
Yeah.
it's sweat. But I own it, and it's the only one out there. He wore one knee brace his whole entire career,
Wow.
God.
and I own it.
Are you going to put that on eBay auction live?
You know what?
Maybe one day.
There's no value on an item like that. There's no value. It's worth what someone will pay you for it. But if I had to really put a price on it, it's probably a $20,000 item.
Wow.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer now.
He's a Hall of Famer, and it's the only knee. You know how many games that thing?
You could literally put that in the Hall of Fame.
And he signed it. Well, he hasn't signed it yet. I got to figure out how I want him to sign it, what I want him to put on it, because I purchased it from him, and that's unique.
I'm trying
Not
to think
many
when
people
that
has
would
that.
hold its most value if the Browns were in the playoffs or they just won the AFC Championship. Then
So
you
there's
sell
the
it.
problem. The problem
Or
is
if you wait till they win the
There
Super
is
Bowl.
no but right or wrong time. He's just because he's a lineman. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's
Probably
Linemen's-
him getting into the Hall of Fame was the
Yeah, the
That was-
peak.
peak of
Yeah.
value, I would say.
It's just
that's
it's
crazy
just you got to
items.
find the right collector.
Okay, when we come back, Luke's going to give us his Mount Rushmore, and we're going to hear about Tom's craziest item in his man cave. That's after this break. Trying to build the ultimate man cave she shed. What if you had some, I don't know, size 18 signed Derek Jeter cleats, Adidas cleats. These are massive. Look at this. I have a big head. Look at that. Jeez Louise. Who knows? Maybe he'll end up being the greatest home run hitter of all time. These are the kind of items that you can get over at Primetime Sports and Framing with Tom Broad, Brewster Luke. This is an item that you would want to, clearly you would want to put that in a case somehow, airtight. Got some paper in there to soak up any moisture. I'm assuming, no, these were not probably worn in a game, but these are signed by the one and only Derek Jeter. That is
not Derek Jeter.
I'm sorry, I said
Aaron
Judge. I'm
Judge.
sorry, did I say that before?
Yeah.
Aaron Judge,
You
again.
love Derek Jeter.
6'7", what's he weigh, like 260? I mean, he's just
gotta be.
a massive
Gotta be up
man.
there.
But that's a prime time item. Build around it, that kind of thing. Craziest thing in your man cave?
Craziest thing. Since we're talking about shoes, I'll tell you about a pair of shoes I have. How about a pair of Dikembe Mutombos?
Whoa!
I mean, that size size 23. You know what I mean? It's massive, big. It's signed. It's game used. And the craziest thing about them, the story I heard from Sean Kemp the other day about how Dikembe Mutombo's feet were so crazy and how he had to tape his feet up to get them. When when our bodies are certain sizes, we don't realize that things
Right.
don't sometimes work like they're
Yeah.
supposed to.
Right.
And Mutombo's feet had to have special taped, every game in order to, operate that big
Well,
body.
they're
'Cause that guy
carrying a
was big.
skyscraper
Oh.
every day.
Oh yeah, so I have a pair of Dikembe Mutombo's game worn, and I bought them. Somebody walked them in my store. And
What brand was he wearing? What kind of shoes are
if
they?
I had to remember, it was oh my goodness, good question. Maybe Adidas.
Huh.
Gotta
was,
be. Gotta be.
I'm just trying.
Adidas
to,
was big. It was in the '90s. It was all like Adidas and
Yeah,
Reebok.
I think it was.
like,
It might have been. I'm gonna say Adidas. I could be wrong. Could be Reebok. I don't want to disrespect. But
Here's another great quarterback. This
No
is going to be
disrespect,
something. This is going
Adidas.
to make a New York Giants fan very
the
happy.
Cavs, or I mean not the Cavs, but the Browns
Yeah.
was gonna draft him. Did you
Yeah,
know that?
I remember.
They
all that.
should have.
They were going to.
They should have.
The Giants moved up right ahead of us to
Yep.
take him.
Oh, man.
I remember at the draft party.
He might turn out to be something. He might turn out to be a flop. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Gotta stay healthy.
But
Yeah, have
you
you
get
seen our
this sign
quarterbacks?
now when
Yeah,
when
take him in a heartbeat.
you're bringing in these big names like every 2 weeks, every week you're bringing in NFLers, NBA. You just had Gary Payton and all those guys in.
Sammy Sosa over the weekend.
Sammy Sosa. That's where we got this ball. You signed that. Oh my goodness. Was that private? Was it
No,
private
it was a
sign?
public in Myrtle Beach.
Public signing?
Yeah, in Myrtle Beach.
You're flying to meet these cats
we are.
wherever they are.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. We're talking about man caves and must-have items. And the GOAT here, Tom, says you got to have Michael Jordan, something signed by Michael Jordan if you want the ultimate man cave.
Babe Ruth. People love
These are you
Those
can't
are
get
tough.
that.
These are
That's
tough
dope.
autographs. here.
Come on,
I
man.
have a Babe Ruth, but not like. But the problem is when I'm telling you autographs, I'm telling you everyone that's achievable. Not everybody can afford a Babe Ruth.
Does anyone
Yeah,
have a
it's
better
fine.
man cave than you?
Listen, I'm not. I'm not.
We're not asking you to brag, but brag a little bit.
I'm not that guy to say that I've. Because I'm gonna tell you what. When it comes to collectibles, you can think you have the best, and then you go to a national card show and you walk around and be like, oh. You're humbled real quick.
I got
Right.
nothing.
There's
Yeah.
always somebody out there that has something more intriguing than you do. So at the end of the day, I have a nice man cave, hands down. So but at the end of the day, I'll be very humble on what I have.
Any
So-
more that you really want, Luke, for your man cave?
I'd love a Jim Brown autograph, but I know that would be very, very difficult to get.
Well, Primetime has a lot of Jim
Is
Brown
that true?
autographs.
Is that right?
We do.
Well, it sounds like
I actually have,
sounds like I
you
know
know-
where to go.
I actually, when they came out with that movie of the Browns on ESPN, they came out with that Browns tribute. I had him at the bar that I owned at the time, Jim Brown. He came there and did photo ops with everybody.
What was
Wow.
he like in
Oh,
person?
very, very cool. And the
Yeah.
coolest thing, I went over to Austin Carr and I was like, "Hey, Austin, I need you to take Joe and I need you to go over and get a picture with you and him with Jim Brown." And he looked at me, "Could you give me an easier task, please?" 'Cause even a guy like Austin Carr with Mr. Cavalier and Mr. Cleveland,
Even he's scared. To
even
ask.
he's scared to ask Jim Brown for a favor.
Wow.
So, but he did. He took Joe over there, and he got a picture of Joe and Jim together. But I actually had to help Jim Brown into the vehicle. And so, towards the end of his career, I mean, or not career, but at the end of his events and stuff, he got tough, getting around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those running,
my God.
laps on the football fields.
And this was before, high-tech equipment
yeah.
and massage therapists.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
recovery pools. Like, that was just
Yeah.
going out there and
Yeah.
running over people.
So Jim Brown, we did a couple private autograph signings with Jim Brown. You know,
Wow.
I talk about goats,
Yep.
Jim Brown.
No one's better.
Yep.
Well, do you have questions about
Barry
your man
Sanders
cave?
was better. Sorry.
Barry's for this short of a career.
They
we-
both
do
had
we ever
short
still
careers.
know
They were
why
both
he left
9
Barry
years.
Sanders is the best running back ever to play running back. And I'll debate that with him.
All right. Next episode.
Do you have questions about your man cave, she shed that you'd like Tom to answer? We have a cool website. It's called Cool Collectibles at fox8.com. We'd like to see your cards. We'd like to see your collectibles. If you have questions from the expert, he's right there. He will answer those for you. We have a nice audience out there who's becoming very engaged in our Cool Collectibles, and we appreciate you. You can reach out to Primetime Sports on Instagram, Facebook, coolcollectibles.com. They're at Great Northern Mall, also at Belden Village in Canton. Gorgeous places. Go in there and stop by. You're in there pretty often, or someone from your family will be?
Yes.
Pretty often. You have the experts.
You know, my phone number is in every bathroom stall in America. As we like to say, you can always get a hold of us, through direct line to text message. I'm not afraid to give it out.
Sure.
A lot of owners would be like, "Oh, you can't have my number."
Do you want to give it out right now?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's
Reach out.
330-389-0640.
He's the man, Tom Brode, owner of their Primetime Sports and Framing. It really is the Taj Mahal. If you are a collector, you got to get in there and see what he's got. Ask him questions. Check out his eBay auction lives. Good stuff as always, Tom. Thanks for coming in. Send Joe our best, and we'll be having Joe back here in no time too.
For sure.
Right?
But I gotta be honest, you gotta thank Fox, because if it wasn't for Fox, we wouldn't have this opportunity for you to know what's your man cave or she shed's all about, and the value of your items.
Send us an email, coolcollectibles@fox8.com. We'll see you in the next episode here. Cool Collectibles. Have a good day.